Russell Wilson, 5-year, $245 million extension with $165 million in guarantees. That's the report out today from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The mega deal is considered the third largest, most lucrative contract in terms of guaranteed money. Deshaun Watson's $230 million, although that's been reported as $250. Kyler Murray's $189.5, but Kyler Murray's contract has also been reported as, $130 in guarantees as well. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly, but it does look like he's got $105 million. By the way, Kyler Murray gets $105 million at signing. That's crazy. That's crazy. But it looks like $160 million in guarantees. Some have it at $189.5. Again, it's a lot of money. The $165 would put him ahead of Kyler Murray. That's likely where they landed on. So it's between the second and the third highest in terms of guarantees. What was the first thing that came to your mind when you saw this? Hit me up on Twitter, @Gottlieb Show, or Instagram, @Gottlieb Show, or on the Doug Gottlieb Show fan page on Facebook. Hit me up on any of those. First thing that came to your mind. Was it, man, the Broncos, they love their quarterback? Was it, well, that's why Seattle traded him? Was it, there's no real, remember the Colin, well, he wants a bigger market. You want a bigger market, you just want to get paid. Don't get me wrong, Denver's a gigantic market and a growing market as well. But Colin's assertion was one of the coasts because his wife, Ciara, is a superstar. This is the opposite of one of the coasts, right? I mean, unless you want to do the High Plains Desert as some sort of, because there's sand, I don't know. It's not the coast. But the first thing I thought of wasn't the Seahawks, wasn't the Broncos, wasn't Russell Wilson, who, I mean, he just sounds like a politician. Part politician, part preacher. It sounds a little forced to me. He's a tremendous football player. Man, this is a gigantic payday. You know what the first thing I thought of was? Tough day for Lamar Jackson. You're like, what? Tough day. Lamar Jackson's going to get paid. He's going to get a new contract. But if he's going to sit there, and he went on social media, hey, if you don't think Lamar deserves $250 million guaranteed, you don't love Lamar. I don't think the Ravens love Lamar. Because if Russell Wilson, who we can talk about Russell Wilson in terms of, is he cheesy, is he corny, is he whatever, that's fine. Right? I mean, look, Russell Wilson he's got a year in which he led the league in touchdown passes. He has him in the MVP, but he's finished in the top 4 for Offensive Player of the Year 4 times. He's been a Pro Bowler, I believe, 10 times over. Not that Pro Bowler, right? He's been an All-Pro. He's won a Super Bowl and played in a Super Bowl that people think, even though he threw the game losing interception, think if they hand the football off, they win. He's had one losing season as a starting quarterback. That was in his last year with the Seahawks. Like, Russell Wilson's a stud, right? Do I think he's as good as Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen? Like, no, but he's much closer to those guys than he is to the middle of the pack. He's a really, really good quarterback who can run, who can throw, unbelievable accuracy on the move. Remarkable. But if you're Lamar Jackson and you're sitting there going, hey, the market is Deshaun Watson. This is just about real estate comps. It's no different. And you're like, look, that house at the end of the street, that sold for $1 million. And then the realtor sits there and goes like, I understand. It's sold for $1 million. Okay, but you had an out-of-town buyer. The market was at a weird place. You had multiple offers. It got bid up. Somebody came in, cash only, $1 million. It should have gone for $750 max. It went for $1 million. You're like, look, that's the comp. That's who. Like, that sounds great. Every other house on your street went for 5 and 6, and now one goes for 7 and a quarter, and you're sitting there going like, "Nah, we want $1 million for ours." You're going to be sitting on that house for a while. The very first thought that came to my mind was, really hurts Lamar Jackson's argument. Right? Because similarly, Lamar Jackson not coming off a great year. And, it's really interesting that obviously Russell Wilson was hurt last year, came back early, wasn't as good coming off the injury. But even in a bad year, Russell Wilson was 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Look at what Lamar did last year. It was not good. It was not. He's had great seasons. Last year was not one of them. It wouldn't even been seen as a good one. And we can go through the litany of injuries. That's fair. They were to his running backs. Didn't have Ronnie Stanley. But his backup was as, or in some ways, more effective. But even that doesn't matter. The Ravens want Lamar Jackson. They want to keep Lamar Jackson. They want to sign Lamar Jackson long term. They're just completely disagreeing on comps. And the league has spoken. Since that deal, you can do Kyler Murray. Okay, that's only his second contract. That's the same as Lamar Jackson. Or you can say Russell Wilson, who's he's more accomplished than Lamar Jackson. When a more accomplished quarterback signs for far less in guaranteed money than what you want, it's not good news. And you can sit there and say, this is my comp, this is my comp, this is my comp. No, it is not. The league has, in fact, spoken with Kyler, with Derek Carr, and they will eventually with Lamar Jackson. And if people want to push him to, hey, then just don't sign. Wait for the rest of the year. One, you run the risk of getting hurt based on how you play. You run the risk of not playing as well. And even if you think, hey, at the end of the year, my contract expires, they can still franchise tag you. And there is nothing you can do. He's not a complete free agent. The Deshaun Watson thing was incredibly unique. And it was a laughably bad contract written by the Browns. Not just because they didn't know when they were going to get him and all the off-the-field nonsense, but Deshaun Watson's torn his ACL twice. He holds that football a ton. So, what does that contract look like fully guaranteed if he gets hurt? And you could say, hey, Brady doesn't get hurt, Phillip Rivers never got hurt. Eli never got hurt. Those guys didn't move like Deshaun moves. So Lamar runs more than all of them. My very first thought when Russell Wilson signed was not, this is why Seattle was ready to move on. They knew he wanted a gigantic contract, one which wouldn't be, they're not able to build a new championship nucleus with him. No, it wasn't that Denver finally found their quarterback. We knew when they got him that. It's a hard day if you're Lamar Jackson to sit there and say Deshaun Watson's the comp when Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, and Kyler Murray all signed for far less in guaranteed money. That appears to be, this is much closer to what Lamar's comp is going to be in terms of guaranteed compensation.